Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be doing an energy update, an intuitive reading for the Divine Feminine Collective. As always, keep in mind that these messages are all quantum messages, meaning that they are meant to transcend time and space and meet you exactly when you're ready. So whether you're watching it today or sometime in the future, know the messages remain unchanged. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The first thing I want to talk about is this huge timeline jump that has just happened in our collective. And the visual I keep seeing is like a wave, but more so just a simple line drawing with these waves cresting and falling. And for those listening, I know that you've become quite used to moving through energetic highs and lows over time. But what I'm sensing within the collective is that both the intensity and the frequency of these ups and downs have been picking up even more so over the last few weeks and months. And, it's kind of interesting that I just used the word frequency there because at first I meant it in terms of how often, as in the highs and lows are increasing in speed, but maybe there's also a nod to the actual vibrational frequency of these shifts, which are obviously intensifying as well. So let me kind of explain what I mean by this. What our human self defines and experiences as a low in this physical realm is actually nothing more than a vibration moving through us to be alchemized. These lower vibrational energies are simply what we might call emotions, like fear, anger, resentment. And I'm sensing that the lows popping up in your reality recently are tied to some extremely deep and challenging core wounds. I'm just getting that these blocks are heavily charged with this energy. And I'm hearing that some of these wounds may be ones that you weren't ready to work through before. This is a pretty quantum message coming in, but if you were to take one of these core wounds you're working on right now and go back just a few years, maybe 3 years or 5 years, your human self wouldn't have believed you could ever truly heal it in this lifetime. You hadn't ascended to a place where you could even hold that vision. It's almost as if you had just accepted it as a part of you. And yet now you've ascended high enough that you do have the capacity to fully heal and rise above these blocks. What I'm piecing together is that your human self can now picture a reality where these wounds or traumas or limitations, whatever they are for you, that they're healed. And that was always the first step, to simply believe. So I got a little sidetracked with that message, but I do feel like somebody really needed to hear that. But let's get back to this image of the wave and the ups and downs we're experiencing as a collective. I know that this energy has probably felt quite disorienting and overwhelming for many of you. There's been a lot of frustration that's lingering this week. But here's really what's happening. Things that used to take you weeks or months to process, you're now moving through in days, sometimes even hours. And that's why the energy has felt so chaotic, so up and down. And yet what I'm also getting is that this movement hasn't been linear. I keep seeing this image of somebody bouncing off the walls of a room, kind of back and forth, up and down, just seemingly going nowhere. But what's coming through so clearly is that you haven't been moving aimlessly. You've been ascending through it. I guess the best way to describe it is like climbing a staircase. You go 3 steps up and 1 step back. And it might feel like a step back in the moment, but in reality, you're still rising. And here's what's coming in with absolute confirmation this week. If you're hearing this, you have officially landed on your highest timeline. So really let that sink in. Because it's not just in one area of your life. This shift is touching everything. Your relationships, your purpose, your abundance, even your connection to the divine. Now, I'm getting another message, and I'm actually hearing the words, "This was your highest timeline, but you've unlocked the ability to expand beyond it." So there's a real emphasis on the word "was" there, that this was your highest timeline. So let's break this down a little more. When you incarnated here, you arrived with a unique core soul frequency. But as we move through life, we of course absorb conditioning and programming and traumas, burying our natural vibration under layers of the human experience. In fact, for many souls, the birthing process itself is deeply traumatic, meaning for many of us, our frequency is altered the moment we arrive earthside. And as most people progress in what we would call earth years, or, as we get older, for most people, their vibration dims over time. But for you are different. You are an advanced soul with a mission. And because you've done the inner work, you are experiencing the exact opposite. You've been peeling back those layers and undoing the program and returning to your original frequency. And because of that, your external world is now beginning to reflect that shift. And what I'm hearing from my guides say is, it's only getting more beautiful. So here's the takeaway. Right now, this is the timeline that you were meant to reach in this lifetime. This is a frequency where everything aligns, where your dreams begin to materialize effortlessly. But now, you've unlocked something even greater. You've unlocked the ability to expand beyond it. There are no more limits. You're no longer just aligning with destiny, you're creating it. Now, let's talk about the physical realm a little bit, because I am sensing that there's a bit of a disconnect there. Many of us may not see the full evidence of this shift in 3D reality at this time, and I know that can be quite frustrating because you've done the work, and I sense that you can feel the change internally, but maybe your external world just hasn't fully caught up. And this is where trust comes in. I am getting with such confirmation that the shift has already happened. It is done. Your only job now is to hold the frequency steady and allow things to align in the physical. Most people unconsciously block their manifestations at this stage because they let that doubt creep in when they don't see tangible proof, but you know better. You have trained for this. You have been strengthening your ability to hold your vibration for years now. And the message that's been coming through loudest all week long, I think I've talked about this in every one of my videos, but this message is just, you cannot fail. And I'm really sensing that there is no going backwards for you. This actually reminds me of a message that came through earlier this week too. And it's important to remember that even on this new higher timeline, you will face resistance. Expansion always comes with initiations, and some of these may be the deepest and most challenging for you yet. But here's the difference, and this was the message that came through earlier this week. On this timeline, you get to choose how you move through it all. So if you expect things to be difficult, they will be. But if you can shift your perspective, if you can see, these challenges as initiations rather than obstacles, as opportunities rather than limitations, if you can really just surrender, you will move through this with so much more ease. So to give you a little more context and understanding of how this all works, when this message came through to me, I was actually speaking with a friend, and they were telling me, this is someone who struggled with anxiety and self-confidence their whole life, and this person has been in therapy for years, but they were telling me that they just decided that they're going to start seeing a new therapist because they kind of believe that their relationship is at risk if they don't fix this part of themselves. And unfortunately, this therapist is going to be costing them a lot of time and money that they don't have. But as they were talking to me about this, I could really feel that timeline split. Because for the divine feminine, that is a very old and outdated way of thinking and a very outdated way of doing things. And of course, I do want to note that we are all on different journeys and timelines and have very different life paths. So I'm not knocking this person at all for wanting to better themselves. But on this new timeline that we have just landed on, Working through some of our blocks and triggers and fears has the option to be extremely easy. It's almost as if this timeline holds a sense of magic. If we want confidence, we simply have to believe we are confident. Things can move rapidly and easily, however, we do have to make that choice. Because we can still make things hard for ourselves. So be very mindful as you move through some of this stuff, and remember that you now are in control here. So I encourage you to kind of ask yourself, when I feel my energy dip, how will I respond? Because of course dips will happen. It's part of our human experience, but your guides are really clear right now, and they're saying to prioritize your energy first. One thing I'm picking up on is a lot of you have been overextending yourselves, whether this is in work or relationships or kind of just pouring into others more than you're pouring into yourself. And because of that, your intuitive channels might feel blocked. And it's not that your guidance isn't there, it's that you simply haven't made enough space to hear it. So the message is simple: fill yourself back up. Get quiet, tune in, and really protect your energy before you pour it out. Now, let's go ahead and shift our focus to the heart space of the collective and what's currently unfolding with the divine masculine energy. The divine masculine, whether this is someone in your life or someone who you're drawing in and will be in your life soon, what I'm sensing is that this masculine is undergoing a profound recalibration at this time. There has been an undeniable shift, one that is both subtle and deeply transformative. And what's particularly interesting is that I'm seeing a masculine energy whose upper chakras are significantly open. And this is quite rare, actually, as the masculine is typically more rooted in the lower chakras. They're more grounded in logic, structure, and physical action, but I'm getting that something caused a disruption or imbalance deep within the root chakra. And this imbalance feels tied to deeply ingrained wounds, some of which may trace back to early childhood. I'm kind of sensing themes of abandonment, instability, or even a fundamental lack of safety that has shaped this masculine's core beliefs. And for many, these wounds have manifested through fears around security, financial struggles, maybe even doubts about their own worth and purpose. And I'm seeing that these energies have really kept them tethered to outdated patterns, preventing them from fully stepping into their highest embodiment. Yet, here's the breakthrough. When you made this timeline jump recently, the masculine energy did as well. On an energetic level, this healing has already taken place. This shift has occurred. It's just a matter of allowing it to integrate at this point. I'm sensing that many of you may have even started noticing these changes in your masculine counterpart, whether, it might be something very subtle, perhaps the way they're communicating differently or expressing themselves with more vulnerability. But I'm sensing that you can see this shift as well. And while this has been a gradual transformation, this healing is very real. Trust that both you and this masculine have been doing so much work on an energetic level. This divine masculine is really remembering his power, but not in the way we once understood power to be. They're learning to lead from the heart space and to trust their intuition and to balance that strength with softness. So what I'm seeing is that this recalibration is really creating space for a new level of harmony between the masculine and feminine energies. And while this imbalance was obviously never about you, by clearing this masculine is really being prepared for union. And I'm sensing that union will be coming in the very near future. So that was a lot that came through. If you have made it this far, I just want to say that I see you. You have been doing such incredible work, not only for your personal journey, but to help raise the collective consciousness as well. If this message resonated, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you do feel called, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Sending you all so much love and light, and I will see you in the next video.